Hello, today I would like to show you how to create a simple REST web service API in JavaScript with Node.js. And this tutorial is going to be part of a series of lessons that we are going to go through in making REST API using JavaScript and Node.js. We will look at different methods. We are going to explore the different HTTP methods for REST APIs, and we are going to start with a very simple example, and then we are going to build on it through the series. So let us get started. I am going to go to my favorite text editor or development environment that I use, which is Visual Studio Code. So we are going to come and open a folder. So we are going to create a folder inside here, and we are going to call it sample REST API. Okay. Good. So this folder or this directory is where we are going to put all our code. And to start off, I need to open a new terminal. So make sure that you are inside the project directory. So our project directory is sample REST API. So all the commands that we're going to run them in the context of this directory. Now, there are a few prerequisites that we need before we create our application, and we need to set up our environment. So first, you need to make sure you have installed Node.js, and in my case, I've already installed, and you can see I'm running that version of Node.js. So that is the bare minimum that we need to make sure we have Node.js, because it's going to be the platform on which our code is going to be executed. So I'm going to initiate the creation of a project, and how I do this, I'm going to use npm. So I'm going to do npm init within the directory of my project, and it's going to ask me a few questions which I need to respond to. In my case, I'm going to just accept the defaults. And now we should see a package.json file. This is the file that describes our project, and it's also the file that is going to show us all the dependencies that our project is going to be requiring. Now, we have our package.json file, and as it shows in the package.json file, our main file is going to be the index.js. So I'm going to come here and create an index.js file. This is going to be where our code is going to run from. This file is going to contain all the code that I'm going to write here. Now, there are certain dependencies that we are going to need, and we are going to use a web framework called Express. So Express.js is going to help us in creating our web services in a very simple way, as you're going to see. And so we need to install that dependency. The other dependency we are going to install is called NodeMon, and NodeMon is really not required for this project, but what it does, it helps us so that we don't have to keep running our project every time that we make changes. But NodeMon is going to listen to all the changes that we are going to make, and every time we save some new changes, then it restarts the application. That saves us time so that we don't have to keep running the project manually. So to install a new module or a new package, we are going to say npm install. Now in our case, we want to install nodemon, so nodemon, and I want to save it in my dependencies. So it's going to install nodemon. Done. And as you can see now in our package.json, we have nodemon as a dependency. The next dependency that we're going to install is express. So we do the same thing, npm install express with the save option, so it saves um, in our modules. And there it is, express has been installed. Now we can go directly into our code so that we start creating our application. Now a web service, REST web service relies on HTTP, and so we need an application that can respond to HTTP requests, something like a web server. But in this case, we are not going to use something like Apache or Nginx or any other web server. We are just going to instantiate uh, our web server using Express, and it's going to be listening to the port that we are going to give it. So let us get coding. Um, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to declare this constant and call it express, and we're going to say we require express. All right. Then we need to declare another constant, which is going to be our application, or rather how we are going to be interacting with Express. So I'm going to call it app, and we are going to call Express function, this Express that we declared up here. Now app is what we are going to be interacting with. The other thing that we need to declare here is because we want to set up a web server, we need to declare the port that our web server is going to be listening to. So I'm going to declare port, and this port can be any number that you want to use, as long as it's not being used by another application. So in this case, let's say we declare a port like 3005. So that is the port that our web server is going to be listening to. Now to create our web server, what we are going to do is we're going to say app, the app we declared up there, and we're going to say app.listen. Now we're going to listen to a port number, so we have already declared a port, and then this listen function also takes a callback function. So this is my callback function, and we can put anything we want here when the moment app.listen is invoked, then this callback function is going to be called. So let me do something simple like log in to the console.log, and here I will say the application is running on port, and I put the port number, and that's it. That code is enough for us to instantiate our web server. So let us run this application, and then we will see. We can run it by saying node index.js, and as you can see, we already have our application and it's listening to port 3005. Now if I go to the browser and type localhost 3005, it's running on that port. Obviously there is nothing that we have to put into the browser, and so we will not see anything. So here is where we then can use our nodemon to help us so that we don't have to keep running every time we make changes. And so the way I do that is just come and say nodemon index.js. So now nodemon is running and monitoring our application. Any changes we make, as soon as we save, nodemon is going to restart the application so that the application can be running with the most up-to-date changes. Now that is what we need as the prerequisites for setting up our environment, and now we can go to the actual problem or the actual solution that we want to work on.